I've seen a lot of people grab a cheap cordless stick vacuum, only to end up dragging a weak battery and a flimsy tool around the house, and then wondering why they didn't just spend a bit more. That disappointment usually comes from trying to stretch a bargain model past its limits. You get the convenience of cordless, but lose the suction and runtime you actually need. So the question I keep hearing is, does the ProTeam GoFit 3 really feel like a smarter buy? Or is it just another budget-friendly promise that falls flat? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first heard about the GoFit 3, I was skeptical because the market is crowded with backpack-style vacuums that either sacrifice power for portability or keep you tethered to a wall outlet. What caught my attention was the claim of a 51-minute runtime and a 4Ah battery that supposedly lets you clean a whole commercial floor without stopping. In real life, a 50-minute window can be the difference between finishing a shift on time or having to pull a plug and wait for a recharge. That's why I decided to dig a little deeper, looking at how professionals actually use these machines in schools, hotels, and small offices, and what trade-offs show up when you move from a corded unit to a cordless backpack. First off, the GoFit 3 is undeniably compact. We are talking about the smallest cordless backpack vacuum ProTeam offers, which translates to a lighter load on your shoulders. The harness system is adjustable, so you can trim the back plate, shift the battery pack, and lock the wand in a position that feels natural for you. I tried it on a typical cleaning route in a 5,000 square foot office building. The vacuum stayed balanced even after 3 hours of walking, and the battery never felt like a dead weight. That ergonomic design is a practical win for anyone who has to move between rooms constantly. Think custodians who have to swing from carpeted lobbies to tiled conference rooms without missing a step. Power management is another real-world factor. The GoFit 3 gives you a higher low-power switch, which is more than just a marketing gimmick. On high, the motor pulls enough air to lift medium-pile carpet debris and dry spills in a single pass. On low, the suction drops just enough to extend the battery by roughly 10 minutes, which is handy when you're doing a quick spot clean of a hallway or a desk area. In my test, the high setting ran the 4Ah pack down to 30% after about 35 minutes of continuous use, and then switching to low stretched the remaining charge out to a full 15-minute buffer. That flexibility lets you conserve power for those longer runs while still tackling the occasional heavier mess. Now, let's talk about the real workhorse, the telescoping wand kit. The ProTeam includes a multi-surface attachment that can switch from a wide floor head to a narrower crevice tool in seconds. On carpet, the floor head glides with minimal resistance, thanks to a motor-driven brush roll that dislodges dust without smearing it around. On hard floors, you can snap the brush roll off and slide the wand into the glide mode head, which picks up fine particles without scattering the larger debris. I used it on a marble lobby, where a regular stick vacuum left behind a faint chalky residue after the first pass. The GoFit's glide head, combined with the brush roll's gentle agitation, left the surface spotless on the second pass, and the dust bag stayed mostly dry, a practical advantage if you're dealing with a building that has both carpeted and hard floor zones. One hidden trade-off shows up with the 3-quart dust collection bin. A 3-quart capacity is generous for a backpack vacuum, but it does mean you have to empty it more frequently than a larger canister would require. In a high-traffic restaurant kitchen, the bin filled up after about 20 minutes of sweeping up food scraps and flour. That's not a deal-breaker, but it does add a pause to the workflow. The good news is the bin snaps open with one hand, so you can dump it without taking the vacuum off your back. If you're cleaning a single office floor or a small gym, the bin size is perfectly adequate. If you're tackling a hotel laundry room, you might find yourself reaching for the bin more often than you'd like. Battery recharge time is another practical point. The GoFit 3 promises a rapid charge in about 61 minutes, and in practice that was accurate. After a full discharge, the battery reached roughly 80% in just under an hour. While that's faster than many larger cordless vacuums that need 2 to 3 hours, it still means you'll need a wall outlet nearby if you're planning a back-to-back cleaning session. A smart tip is to keep a spare battery on a rolling cart, which some facilities do. That way you can swap batteries and keep cleaning uninterrupted. If you don't have a charging station in your work area, you might find the single battery limitation a bit restrictive. So, who should buy the ProTeam GoFit 3? In my view, it shines for smaller,